So I wanted to do this quick video just before I started work this morning and get it on the YouTube channel because it's a very specific a thing that's come up with vehicle registrations. Now, we're going to talk firstly about registering a vehicle from the EU into Spain, and I'm going to then tell you how what I'm talking about relates to British cars which are coming to be registered here in Andalucia. So first of all, let's talk about EU vehicles being registered in Spain. Now, we know that if you register a vehicle for change of residence, then there's certain things that you can waive. So you can waive the tax on it, especially registrations tax if it applies. Though nowadays, to be honest, with vehicles nowadays, it's very, if there is special registrations tax applicable, normally it's quite low because the newer the vehicles get, the lower the emissions are. It's not like 10 years ago where every vehicle was above 200 grams. No, we're getting brand new BMWs which don't pay tax, special registrations tax, because the emissions are lower than the requirement to pay. But anyway, one thing is very, very, very important. If you're not bringing a vehicle in for change of residence, which also waives the need for European conformity, if it's a normal import, at the point of passing the ITV, you have to prove that that vehicle has EU conformity, that has an EU homologation number. Now, how do you do this? Well, first of all, when you go to the test, and I've done videos on this before, you will have to take the specifications in an authorised document. That authorised document may be a ficha técnica reducida or a certificate of conformity from the manufacturer. Also, the vehicle must have a manufacturer's plate on it, which states the VIN number and also the relating EU conformity number. Okay, if your vehicle is missing that, then you have to go to your manufacturer to try and get one. So, for example, we had an Audi recently where it had been repainted and they'd taken the sticker off and resprayed. We had to go to Audi and say, look, we're registering this vehicle, we need to get a duplicate sticker, which they sent. It was 150 euros for a sticker, just to warn you. I know that Volvo are around 150, and we've done one for BMW. I think we've done BMW, Volvo and Audi, and they're all over 100 euros for this sticker. So you've met the requirements, i.e. you've got your certificate of conformity, your ficha técnica ready, so you have to excuse me, I've got a bit of a cold, and you've got your sticker on the car. But there's also a third requirement. Now, on EU documentation, there's a code in. It's the same for every single country in the EU. There was the same code. This is an Irish document here. And you can see, I hope you can see, I'm going to move it over to the camera, that there's a section called Section K. Now, on this document, Section K only has a 1 next to it, okay? Now, in Section K, you should have the EU conformity number. That relates to your ficha técnica or your certificate of conformity and the sticker on the vehicle, all right? So that should figure there, okay, if you're bringing your vehicle in as a normal registration. If it doesn't figure there, the ITV station will not accept the paperwork. We've had this across the board. Now, for some reason, we've had it with a couple of Irish vehicles which are EU, but they just haven't got the number on the documents. I've recently had it with a car from Belgium where it was a normal EU registered vehicle manufactured in the EU. Documents K, no conformity number in Section K. All right, so they just will not pass the ITV unless it's on there. I had that from a vehicle from Malta as well, where we just couldn't. They just came and they didn't have it on there. It seems that in other EU member states, it's not an important thing on the documentation, but it is here in Spain, and it can cause you problems. So, what are the solutions if on Section K of your EU document there isn't the number that you need, the EU conformity number? Well, number one is approach the agency and the traffic authorities in your country of origin and see if they will adjust the documentation, and that would be the easiest solution probably. They need to put the correct number on Section K. Number two would be have a look at your personal situation. So if you have taken residency in the last couple of years, then then you might be able to just pass the vehicle for change of residency. I'm going to give you one example of this. We had a vehicle from Malta. The guy, now normally they say you have to, if you're doing change of residency, you have the right to waive any conformity at the ITV station within the first 6 months. In this case, the guy had been a resident for 18 months, but we approached the ITV in Marbella and we said to him, look, he's been resident for 18 months here. We did explain that there was mitigating circumstances that he couldn't register the vehicle before, and we can tell by the other coded information, which I've scrubbed out in here for GDPR, that he owned the vehicle for more than 6 months before he became a resident in Spain. So we consider that he still should be allowed to, excuse me, gonna have some water, cold. He should be able to register the vehicle in Spain for change of residence, hence waiving the need for the European conformity number in section K. They agreed, they let him pass the ITV, then we registered the vehicle. Evidently, if the vehicle, which this one didn't, corresponds to pay special registrations tax, then he got well over the period in which you're allowed to apply for the waiver. But that might be a get around for the ITV station. So yeah, that is the problem with section K. If you're going to register a vehicle here, or you're going to go buy a vehicle, make sure on the original documentation it has to have the European conformity number on it, or you could come up against problems. Now, again, how does that relate to British vehicles? Well, around Spain, and we only really deal with Andalucia when it comes to the technical side of the ITVs. We don't deal with ITVs outside of our autonomous community. But what I do know is other autonomous communities are now treating British vehicles as third country vehicles. So although they hold the European code, and although many of these V5s and logbooks of British vehicles have the K section complete with the European conformity number. Recently I had one in Valencia, for example. Someone called, I spoke to the ITV there, and I said, no, we just treat all vehicles from the UK like third country vehicles. Third country from a non-EU country. So, which is the same for vehicles like from America. They can come even if they've got conformity. You can't just register them here, which means you have to go to there has to be extra technical requirements like a one-off homologation, or it has to be for change of residence. In Andalucia, that's different. In Andalucia, MEIASA, who run the ITVs, have taken the decision, and up till now, we'll see if this changes, to consider vehicles which were manufactured before the 31st of December 2020, evidently Brexit Day, to be European vehicles to the extent of passing the technical inspections. So, although as we know, if your vehicle had been here in Spain before that date, you can still apply to get a European status certificate, though I think that's now wearing quite thin because we're a year down the line. If that's not the case and you're bringing a vehicle over and you can't waive the tax for change of residence, but you want to register a vehicle from the UK, then you have to pay the import tax on it. But in terms of the technical requirements, if you go to the ITV and your vehicle was manufactured before the 31st of December 2020, and on the logbook it has the section K complete with the EU conformity number, there all you need is a certificate of conformity, pay your fee or a feature technical residency, and now pass it. And that's not the same in the rest of Spain. So, okay, quite a confusing subject, but I hope it has. I hope it's helped some people, and it's also I wanted to get this out there because it's an explanation to some people who are getting confused. I had 2 cases this week which have come to us where people going, I just don't understand, I can't just take it to the ITV and pass it, and the guy who's dealing with it for me is not explaining properly. I explained it's because you're missing that number on the documents, and that's why they won't accept it, and you don't qualify for change of residence. So yeah, how much can just one little number on a document affect the complete import of a vehicle?